Clippers are one tough team, and they made it tough for the Blazers tonight. It was one of those games where you look good early, and then when it's all said and done, you're just out-talented at the end of it. And this was a night where James Harden went off, and Paul George looked great, and Kawhi Leonard did his thing too. So it's just a tough game. The thing is, it's a rough game. It's a rough game when the opposing team is playing defense against their own shots. And what do I mean by that? Go on to Twitter, type in Chris J. Burkhart, find the last tweet that I retweeted, and you'll see the video from tonight, if you haven't already, of James Harden passing the ball out to Kawhi Leonard in the corner and then closing out on him and playing defense against him. Like, it was just like such an unserious basketball move because they were playing with the Blazers, right? They took care of business in this one, and they really pulled away there in the third quarter. I think early in the third quarter, it was a 21-10 run to start the quarter. They ended up outscoring the Blazers 34-20 in that third quarter. Blazers got some back in the fourth quarter, but keep in mind, for large chunks of that fourth quarter, it was the Clippers' second and a half / third unit who was in there. Former Trailblazer Mason Plumlee even got a little bit of a run. Now let's take a look at the box score for the Clippers. First off, Paul George, 27 points, 10 of 18 shooting, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Kawhi Leonard, 24 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 4 steals. He was on fire tonight. He had one of those nights where, he plays such a slow, lumbering game at times, but he's so in control. Like, when he's playing and he's on, you understand why he's one of the best players in the entire NBA. I mean, without question, one of the best players in the entire NBA. So nice to see him go out there and play like that. It's just unfortunate that it happened to happen against the Blazers. Rounding out the top five, Vaka Zubac had 14 points, 9 rebounds. James Harden, 19 points, 14 assists, which I believe matches his season high. And Amir Coffey had 11 points to round out the starters. So that's how things went for the Clippers. Everybody was getting involved. On the Blazers side of things, it was really a rough one. There was some highlights, though, and we'll talk about those here right now and throughout the show. But looking at the starting five, Scoot Henderson ended up leading the Blazers in scoring with 18 points. He ended the night 6 of 15 shooting, but it wasn't an overall great shooting night. 2 for 5 everywhere else. So you take away the three-pointers, that means he was just 4 of 10 from 2-point range. And you would like to see that number get up. I did feel the last few shots he took in the game, though, definitely looked a little more in control than they did early on. He also had 5 assists, which, again, not too shabby. Would like that number to get up, but not too shabby. The second leading scorer, I'm going to give everyone a guess. If you didn't watch, who was the team's second leading scorer if Scoot led at 18? No, it wasn't Anthony Simons. No, it wasn't DeAndre Ayton. It was Chris Murray with 17 points. He had 11 of them in the first quarter where he hit 3 of 4 three-pointers, becoming a corner three-point specialist. That's something you love to see as that develops. I think it was Casey Holdall tweeted, Chris Murray developing a corner three-pointer may drastically change his career arc. And he had a heck of a game. He was everywhere on both sides of the ball. The shot was falling. That was nice. But in one of those nights when Simons and Ayton, who have been really, really good as of late, combine for just 22 points, you're not going to get a lot done. DeAndre Ayton had what would be his worst game in some time. 8 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist. You got to remember, this guy's had a long string of 20-plus point games with 10 assists as well. He's just pulling down doubles. Wasn't to happen tonight. Anthony Simons had just 14. Tamani Kamara did have 3 points, and what should have been one of the blocks of the game, except they called goaltending, and it was not goaltending, let me tell you what. Jabari Walker and Delano Banton each chipped in 12 off of the bench. Dwap Reith also had 8, including 2 3-pointers. That's a look at the individual box scores. Taking a look at how the teams fared. The Clippers shot 52%. The Blazers shot 48%. The Blazers hit 2 more three-pointers. It was 15-13 in that realm. And free throws, they both went to the line 15 times. The Clippers hit 13, the Blazers hit 10. The rebound battle was in favor of the Clippers 42 to 38. The assist numbers in favor of the Clippers 29 to 21. The steal numbers definitely in favor of the Clippers 15 to 6, and the block numbers also in favor of the Clippers 7-4. If you want to get in on the fifth quarter and join the conversation, you know what to do. Grab those telephones, dial 503-248-0620 to get on the telephone with us and give us your thoughts on this game. Or you could go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and you can join the conversation there. Type in all your questions, your comments, your concerns. Or, of course, you can always go to Twitter and type in Chris J. Burkhart and just tweet directly at me about how good my takes are, or about how bad my takes are, or what albums you like to listen to front to back, like we talked about during game day, what food you like to eat. Sometimes we can just talk about anything and everything. But we will take a quick little break here on the fifth. And joining me now on the fifth quarter, the man, the myth, the legend, Chad Doing, as he's called. And Chad, bless Michael Shacker's heart. He's over here telling me, he's like, just so you know, YouTube, that's still playing break music. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm reading the scoreboard report, my guy. I can't just turn my audio up in the middle of a scoreboard report. You got to watch this copyrighted music nonsense that YouTube likes to get us in trouble for. Why can't we just play whatever music we want on YouTube and call it good? Why's there got to be rules?
Shacker and I, by nature, are rule breakers. So we hate it when there's restrictions put in front of us because I'm like, how can I get around that to get what I want?
Right? Absolutely. So, hey, interesting little game tonight. I just showed you that clip of James Harden. What do you make of James Harden passing the ball out to Kawhi Leonard and then closing out on his own teammate, playing defense for the Blazers?
Yeah, I enjoy it. When I see the clip, I watched it a few times after you showed it to me. I think it's awesome, man. Those guys are out there just having fun.
That's like, you're playing a game of cat and mouse at that point, right?
Yeah, and I thought those three guys, the Hall of Famers tonight, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and James Harden, they provided a nice basketball education for some of the young trailblazers out there. The two big guys, Kawhi and George, combined for 51, and then Harden with 19 points and 14 assists. The one thing that Harden did a great job of, that 1-5 screen and roll where he was working with the big, he just annihilated the Trailblazers defense, being able to get to his spots. He was able to find his shots. He scored big in the second quarter, but he was able to set up his teammates really well. I've got to give it up for James Harden. I'm always quick to criticize him. He's playing great basketball for the Clippers right now.
Yeah, he really is. I think a lot of people poo-pooed that move, didn't see it working. I was one of them, you got to admit. But he played well tonight. He still has the shot when he wants it. The assist numbers were still there. He did lead the way with 14. And, it was one of those nights, man, when you're that good, when you're James Harden and you're Paul George and you're Kawhi, how many shots tonight, Chad, did you see where whether it was to Tumani or DA or Rupert, who we'll talk about because I really liked what he gave us tonight, but played a really, really dang good defense, and then the Clippers hit nothing but net.
Well, what about the play right before half where the Blazers had closed the deficit to 7? They put together a nice run there at the end of the second quarter. They were in a position. And then Paul George, with the shot clock winding down and the time about to run out in the second quarter, hits a 3 right at the buzzer in the face of DeAndre Ayton, who had good position, good defense, and actually his hand was right up on him. And when Paul George had the fall-through, he hit Ayton's hand, so he was right there.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do, and that's just how good those guys are. And James Harden can be 90 years old and still get 8 trips to the foul line. He is the master at drawing contact.
I like how it was, just 30 seconds into the game, and he got the James Harden call. He drives to the basket, and someone blew on him, and boop,
boop,
foul call. It's like, it's going to be one of those nights. But I thought throughout the night, I thought Rayon Rupert looked pretty good. He was aggressive defensively.
He's got freaky long arms.
He does, and I like the way he moves. Toumani Camara, I need to see pissed off Toumani Camara more. Because I don't know if you saw you tweeted about the block, which was definitely a block. They called goaltend. That was dumb. But DeAndre Ayton has the ball. Toumani slashes on the back door, and DA bounce pass to him. And Toumani gets mad, and he goes, he points up, throw it up for an alley-oop next time. He's irritated, and in that anger just sprints down the floor and blocks that shot. I think it was Kawhi who took it, but they call it a goaltend, and it was a clean block.
Yeah, he is a very tenacious guy. I like his competitive desire, and he's one of those guys who just embraces defense. He loves it. One quick point that you made about James Harden, it goes back to something that Travis talked about, and this is so critical for all NBA players. You aren't the only one. There are a lot of people who looked at that move when it went down. It's like, how's that going to work with so many guys on the roster, and how's Harden going to fit in with George and Kawhi Leonard? It goes back to role acceptance. If you understand what your role is and how you can best serve a basketball team, and then you embrace that role, and obviously for James Harden, he needed to take on that point guard role, the mentality of being a point guard like we saw in Philadelphia when he had that good connection with Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
He's done that, and because he's accepted his role, he's out there becoming a big-time difference maker for him. It's impressive.
It is. It absolutely is.
Just understand your role and then embrace it, and then know what you need to do to help your team the best. And if more guys would do that across the league, you would see guys create more opportunities for themselves because they were able to go out there and embrace that role.
Yeah, it is weird to think about, though, when you think James Harden, though. This is as good as he's been throughout his career. This is, what, his 5th team?
Yes.
OKC, Houston, Brooklyn, Philly, LA. Paul George's 3rd. Like, it's just weird. The Kawhi's 3rd. It's weird to think about.
It is. And for Harden, like, we always make fun of the defense, but truly, I mean, he's one of the best offensive players in his generation without question.
I wouldn't debate that. I wouldn't debate that at all. People get mad because he knows how to play the game and get to the foul line, but that's, to me, I've always said that's a don't hate the player, hate the game type thing, man. He perfected it. So, hey, if you want to join in on the conversation, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can also head over to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and join the quiet
How's the
chat
back doing over there?
My back's falling apart again, man. I don't know what's going on. I got up at halftime and tried to walk around. It's not as bad as it was, a week and a half ago when I could barely move, but it's not fun.
I'm feeling for you, man.
It's not fun. It's one of those things, like you said it, man. When you get those things, they linger.
They
don't want to go away. It's absolutely terrible. Well, let's head out to the phone line first. Let's head out to Buffalo. We're gonna on the
JoJo
on the banks of Niagara Falls. Joe from Buffalo. I didn't really mean.
What's up, Joe?
Joe, you got to fix that. You can't be calling while you're driving.
Is he in a barrel getting ready to go over the falls?
It sounds like I made a joke about sitting on the bank of Niagara Falls. I didn't really know he was on Niagara Falls. Listen to this.
Joe, where are you?
I'm sorry, man. I'm driving home from a stand-up gig. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, well, it does. It sounds like you're in a barrel about to go over the falls, my man.
You know what? At this point, I wouldn't. If I could just rant for a minute. So I did a stand-up comedy act tonight, and with a bunch of other local comedians.
Whoa.
And for some reason, I hate this city is starting to get under my damn skin. I don't know what it is with comedians. I've done live music for years, and every time you get off the set, even if the band sucks, you tell them good job, and the camaraderie is real. Something with stand-up comedians, they think if they laugh or clap for you, that they're not going to make it big or something. Guess what? And I know Buffalonians are listening because I at least on demand, because I've been spreading the word out here.
Good.
Listen, you're 10-1, you're not good enough to make it anyway out of this city. You're all small-minded, Bills Mafia fans anyway. You're going to be just fine here. So, but in the meantime, can you show some decency and be human beings and just show the camaraderie? We're all struggling to follow our dreams here. It's okay. You can smile and laugh at other comedians. It's gonna be fine. All right. I can't take this town. It's lucky that this town is somehow marketable for unknown billionaires to come through, because we would have lost our teams a long time ago. And you know what? Aside from the Sabres, I don't really give a damn.
Hey.
Like, I am so sick of these people. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hey, Joe, I got to ask you a question, man. How many times have you done stand-up comedy? Because I've talked to someone who's done it, and they said it was very challenging, man. How hard is it to go up there and go through your routine?
It is. So I've done stand-up a handful of times. This is my first time doing it without alcohol in my system, and it was even harder. So it's very challenging. I did music for a long time. I was a singer for a metal band around here. It was much easier. I don't know if it's because you got 4 other dudes in the band to fall back on, but like when you go up on and you can rehearse your material with music. With stand-up, it's a lot harder to rehearse because you don't know. You can sit there and go over the routine in your head, but you're not going to know how it's going to work on the crowd until you're in front of the crowd and you're up there alone. So like the important thing is to be able to try to make your bits or your jokes versatile, or make it where you have a pivot point if it doesn't hit where you want. Because sometimes what you thought was just going to be a segue ends up being a punchline and gets more laughs. And sometimes your punchline, people don't even pick it up. So it is incredibly challenging. But Portland has a pretty good. You guys, I think, had Ron Funches come out of there. He's one of the funniest dudes in the game. I might have to come out to Portland and just start over, dude. I can't take this. Oh, we're New York. We're Buffalo. We're our own little slice in New York. We got to show the attitude. I heard the one guy make a stupid joke, and I complimented him from across the bar. We happened to be talking to the same individual, and she didn't pick up on the joke, but I did. I was like, dude, that was funny. And he's like, oh, yeah? And he just turned around, and it's like, you know what? It wasn't that funny. I wish I saved my breath. I gotta call into a show that deserves my breath in a little bit, but I didn't flex because they're gonna see me next week, and I'm gonna obliterate all of them on stage. And then I'll call you guys. Is there a Portland game next Wednesday? I don't know, but I had to make sure I got out of there in time, and it was perfect timing because they were just turning into. I do have a basketball question. I'm sorry. I appreciate you guys letting me rant, but I just can't believe it, man. Like I don't see why you can't congratulate people when they get off the stage. It's a very intense thing to do. So it's good to I don't know, be a decent human being and not talk during their set. And that I couldn't believe it.
Hey, here's the thing, Joe. As someone who has been ridiculed for hosting radio before, I'm sure Chad is too. The people who don't want to give you your props or tell you did good, or the first people to tell you did terribly, would clam up in a second if they put the headset on.
Dude, I have made the offer on multiple occasions to people. I'm like, hey, if you think I suck, and I might, you're free to come in and host the show, and I haven't got someone that says, you know what, I can do that.
No.
Because it's I could never get up on stage and do stand-up.
Oh, I couldn't.
The Godfather did it once down at Harvey's Comedy Club in Portland.
Yeah.
And he said it was incredibly difficult.
Okay. I want to see this. There's got to be video of it.
That's why I respect guys that do it, though, because to get up there and to be that vulnerable and know that it's just you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Well,
that takes balls.
Friend of the show and former coworker of Dwight and I is Ian Carmel. He kills it on the comedy scene. So there's a name if you haven't heard, Joe. Ian Carmel, coming out of Beaverton's finest, I believe. That's where he's from, Portland.
Is it
baby.
Beaverton?
I believe so. And now down there in L.A. did stuff for
Joe belongs out here.
And yeah, Joe does. You need to get out of Buffalo, Joe, where we can't hear you because the wind's too strong. You only got wind like that here up at the Vista House. Okay, if you're just staying close by, we'll be able to hear you. I do find it funny though that I made the joke about going over the falls, and it 100% sounded like he was standing next to a waterfall that whole time.
It did. It sounded like he was in a barrel getting ready to go over the falls. Like he was done with it. Like he was getting ready to check out.
All right, Joe, what you need to do is you need to go record your next stand-up. You need to upload it to YouTube, and then you need to tweet a link at Chad and I. We'll play it on Rip City Radio if it's radio edited.
Yes.
All right, also, let's head out to Victor in Turkey, who's been waiting patiently. Victor might be upset. Ant didn't have a very good night. Victor, the floor is yours.
Hey, hi. Thank you for your patience, I should say, because when I was in America, I haven't seen too many patients, that everything is fast. But you guys, you're very generous. I tell you that. I don't like my own accent. I had to say that. I don't know.
I love it.
I have seen some. Well, I know that I know you and Chad. They have very good language or accent, but the voice.
Oh, thank you.
I don't like my voice, but I have to say my opinion. But about the Blazer, I'm happy with Anthony Simon. This is most of my conversation is criticism of the Anthony Simon on the radio, because I think he's one of the best players. I compare him with Joe Moran. I compare him with Alexander, what is it called? Shy Alexander. I compare that with him, and the reason I say that because all politics. I have master's degree in computer science. In my younger age, I was better in everything. Even the language. So what I'm saying is now I'm in retirement, but I know what's going on. You see, in the other team like Shy Alexander and Joe Moran, they were the alpha man. Alpha man means like Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard was the alpha man, but the Anthony Simon, they never got a chance. Chris, if you remember last year, a few months ago, the Godfather came with Chad, and they interview Anthony Simon, and Godfather talked to Anthony Simon, live. Chad was on the radio. He said, Anthony Simon, are you really depressed when they talk about trading you, getting, the Raptors and Obi? And he got quiet. He's a quiet guy. And he said, no, that's a business. We've come to that point. If they want to trade me, go for it. So what I'm saying is, these guys are young people. They are not old guys, like me or somebody else. They have very sensitive, mind. They're like a child, Chauncey called him like a baby. What I'm saying is, that's a true fact. He was down to earth. And besides that, the media, for months and months, they focus on Sharp, Shaden Sharp. For months and months and months. They weren't talking about Anthony Simon. And now they talk about Anthony Simon because there is no other option. So mentally he's down. If he went to another team, he would be a superstar. I have no doubt about it. That's a fact. That's a true fact. Now you can say, well, yeah, he scored only 14 points. Yeah, but because he had a knee problem. Chad said he had a knee tendonitis. So what I'm saying is, I hope you know what I'm talking about the truth, not about the myth. That's one issue. Another thing is the Ayton wasn't very good in this game. Hopefully you get better in the other games. And another point is that the Rob Williams, when they got unfortunately the Rob Williams, they were talking about the trade, the deadline. The Reed said he came on the radio, on the internet, and he said, well, the Rob Williams is on the trade market. He's on the trade market. I saw it in the Rip City radio, Rip City internet. But nobody got him. Nobody was interested because he was injured. So my question is, okay, if they got a big deal for the Damian Lillard, they got in trade with the Rob Williams, what they're going to do with him? Because he's not injured. If they don't get a good trade for him, they have to keep him next year, and that's the only chance they have if they didn't get a good trade for him. So what do you think about the next year that they might do? You hope they might do some trading, and what do you think about the next year, what they're going to do?
All right, well, let's ask you, Chad. What do you think the long-term prospect is with Rob? Do you think he's an off-season guy where maybe they try to package him with something? There might be interest in injury or not because he's good when he's healthy.
Yeah, I think what they might do, you can trade a player when he's injured if you get the other team to agree to it, but what they might do is have him go through his rehab, complete that, and then be able to come back and play and showcase what he can still do. And then once the deadline rolls around, you're sitting there with a legitimate big who playoff contenders may want a piece of, and then you can look to take the highest bid at that point.
Yeah.
How do you see it going down?
I still think that there's moves to be made. I still think, like you've talked about, Malcolm Brogdon being a key piece. I think there's still the possibility that those picks may get shipped and moved around to try to bring in a guy who can play right now. And so I think if they do the offseason right and they put themselves into a spot where they think that they'll be competitive, that Robert Williams on the roster makes sense, right? So, I don't think you want to give up on that one too soon. You want to see what you got, and if he comes into camp healthy and you play him and then you trade him after that, and you'll see what happens. But I don't know. It's a hard, kind of a 50-50 shot in the dark, really. Like, what they're going to do, you don't know yet, because I think there's a lot of other dominoes to fall before they get to the Robert Williams domino. But that's me. All right, let's head out to East Side Mark, who joins us now. Mark, the floor is yours, my friend.
Chad, how you doing, buddy?
I'm well, buddy. Good to hear your voice, Mark.
Thank you. Doctor said everything's good. I'm fighting a good fight, so I'll spend time with the girls.
Good. Screw cancer,
yeah,
man.
You know that other job is, oh, yeah, the prostate. Yeah. I'm fighting hard, man. I'm a driver and a comedian. I'm not a doctor, so I listen to my doctors. And You got to get a shot. I got to get a shot in the hip, if you know what I mean, every 4 months. And man, that's smart. So I'll take a shot in the arm any day. Hey, I wanted to bring up Buffalo Bob or Buffalo Bill. What was his name?
Joe in Buffalo.
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill. I was worried. I was worried he was going to burst an artery. Now, I hope he's listening. I don't push this off on Jack because he knows I have this crazy, wacky sports knowledge. But I am a professional comedian. I've been on giant shows, Jay Leno and Steve Harvey's Good Time Challenge, MTV Comedy Central. I'm going to give you a word of advice because it sounds like you are new and you just got done doing 3 to 5 minutes at an open mic in downtown Buffalo. So, yeah, you don't want congratulations from your fellow comedians. You want something called applause, maybe some laughter, something that lets you go up to 5 to 7 minutes next week. And that's it. On a different topic. I met Huey Lewis. You were talking about him earlier.
About who?
Huey Lewis.
Oh, Huey Lewis. Okay. Yes, I was talking about Huey Lewis today.
Yeah, he was down in Medford. I like to play the thoughts before I go up on stage, and the MC was doing his bit about ready to bring me up. And the headliner, my friend Juan, came by and he said, "Hey, have you met Huey Lewis yet?" And me being a smart aleck comic, I responded, "Yeah, did he bring the news with him?" And Juan was like, "No, dude, really, his brother is really sick. His brother lives here in Medford." So I cashed out and went and met Huey Lewis. I mean, what do you want to sound like an Arizona D-bat and say, yeah, I bought every album you ever had back in the 80s. No, I didn't want to do that. So I just shook his hand. It was nice. It was completely random.
No, it's awesome, man.
Completely random.
No, it's cool. Dude, I'm down with
Yeah,
that.
it was. Yeah.
All right, Mark, thank you for the call there. Huey Lewis, huh?
Have you met him before?
Can't say that I have.
Have you met a musician? Someone that was a star, someone that you liked?
The only musician I've met, and it was through work. Like, I haven't ran into anyone just, like, out and about, but I did get to meet Garth Brooks.
Okay, let me tell you about Garth Brooks. He lives in Oklahoma, real close to where my Uncle Howard lives, and my cousin Lisa. And my cousin Lisa, their kids played on the same soccer team as Garth Brooks, right? And so they were at the game together, and my Nana told me that she met Garth Brooks and how he helped her get in and out of the truck, and he was quite the gentleman. And then they went back to his place, and they watched one of his concerts. And so my Nana, once I found out that Garth Brooks took care of her, I'm like, that's my guy.
Yeah.
And I've never met him, but I'm like, he took care of my Nana, so I'm down with him forever.
I'll never forget it because when I met him, it was here at Moda, actually, and he was doing some media availability. I was with Brooke Olsendam. She was our on-air talent. I was doing the camera work. And we go up to film a one-on-one with him, and she starts the interview, and he goes, hold on one sec. And he goes, I'm sorry, you didn't introduce yourself. I'm Garth. And he reaches and introduces himself to me. I'm like, I know who you are. He was so humble, so nice, pretty cool. Now, a good friend of mine grew up in San Francisco, and he told me this story, and I thought he was pulling my leg until I confirmed the story with his parents. But he was riding around in the neighborhood one day on his bike, like kids do, bit it, right? And one of the random neighbors sees it, comes up, "Are you okay? Hey, where do you live? Let's walk you over to your house." Walks him over to his house, makes sure he's okay. It was Carlos Santana. Wow. He found out that Carlos Santana lived like a half mile down the street and was riding down the street at the time. But yeah, Carlos Santana grabs him, makes sure he gets to his house okay because he has his skin knee and all that. And he showed us where his house was, and his house was like in the middle of the neighborhood, but it was just like surrounded by trees and secluded. And he said on Halloween, Carlos Santana would open up the gate so all the neighborhood kids could come trick or treat at his house. And he said Carlos Santana was the man.
See, I love hearing those type of stories about legends like
Right?
that.
And it's like, that's the type of thing you're like, yeah, right, dude, you're pulling my leg. But then his dad, like, if dad tells the story too, you're like, I don't trust you, because dad might be in on this bit, right? But moms don't lie.
No.
And when his mom confirmed that was a true story, I was like, oh, this really did happen.
That's right. You could get your dad to go in on a leg pull,
Oh,
but not mom.
Not mom. Moms aren't about that at all. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the fifth quarter. comfort level that we talked about, right? Like just knowing what to do and when to do it. Because it still felt like a couple times today where it's like, does he want to pass or does he want to shoot? Gets up in the air. Like, you shouldn't jump up in the air to pass. You know what I mean? Make these decisions before.
You know, Chauncey Billups, we're going to hear this in the coach's corner, but he talked about the wall, the rookie wall that he thinks Scoot has probably hit where, you know, you're dealing with the travel, the physical exertion, and then mentally, after all these games, you're out there on the floor and you're thinking, oh, I've got to get the ball to Aiden. Oh, there's Ant. And all these different things are going through, and then boom, physically, mentally exhausted as he's trying to work through all these different things. And I think that's what we're seeing with Scoot because there's been a bit of a regression since the All-Star break in terms of not looking comfortable out there on the floor. And I think tonight, and I think for a lot of the young guys, getting the education that they got from George, Kawhi, and James Harden, you don't see it now on the scoreboard, but in the long run, I think this is going to pay off. But we're seeing Scoot in the wall, going through some struggles right now, but I think in the long run, it's going to be good for him.
Yeah, I definitely think the wall is a thing. I definitely think he's probably hit it. People don't understand unless you've been through this and been on the road. Like, I mean, think about this. This 82 games, so 41 of them on the road, a couple extra in there if you include preseason. So let's just round up and say 50-ish. Okay, well, some of those are extra nights on the road, too. I mean, by the end of the season, you're spending 100-plus nights in a hotel, in 40 different hotels, right? Crouched and cramped in airplanes as often as you can. But it gets exhausting.
Yeah, and that's not to make an excuse. It's just the reality of the situation. That's why I'm excited to see Scoot get that first year under his belt, be able to put in a full offseason of work and enter training camp with more confidence and a better understanding of who he is as a player. And I think he's going to be able to be in a position to take that next jump. It's tough. And I think also the other thing that adds to the mental fatigue is the constant change in lineups and different guys who are on the floor.
Yeah.
Because there's been no continuity for anyone who's played for the Trailblazers this year, and I think that contributes to some of the issues. But you can see it right now. Scoot's, going, he's having to think when he's out there, and when you think too much, the mistakes are going to come, and that's to be expected. I enjoyed tonight seeing Chris Murray get 15 points up in the first half. He finished with 17. That's a career high for him. Shot the ball well, got to his spots, and for me that was fun. I enjoy watching young guys play, and tonight it was Chris Murray who got off.
Gosh, if Murray can make that corner three consistently, Holdall tweeted it. It drastically changes his career outlook. Like, he becomes a rotation type player if he can hit that consistently.
100%. If he can and he hits it with regularity, he's going to be a problem out there because, he can rebound really well. He appears to have an idea of where he needs to be and what he needs to do defensively. And now it's just a matter of being consistent with that shot because if you become a 40% shooter from that corner, teams are going to use you no matter what.
Yeah, they absolutely are. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number, or you can jump on YouTube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and join the conversation there. We're going to take our final break of the show now.
because he's just a basketball player. He kind of does everything. He's like a Swiss Army knife. And if you can get those type of guys to become really good three-point shooters, then you have those Iggies, and then you have those real guys, that are championship starters, if you will. So, I think it's a big difference. And if not, he's still going to be a terrific player, but his ceiling is it's just different.
What do you think the difference is between particularly young players trying to figure out their spot as a shooter in the league? He's shooting 43% from the corners, but he's 19% above the break, which you don't usually see that stark of a difference between the two. When you see something like that, does that make you think it's something more mental than it is more mechanical?
The corner three is the shortest three on the floor, obviously. So it's a different shot, and there's so many other things that could bother you, on those wings and at the top of the key. There's so much floor, so many different opportunities that you have when you're in that corner. Most of the court is over with because you're out of bounds. You only got really one side to worry about, so it's just so much other things that could go through your mind, other places, in them quadrants. But when you're in the corner, the decisions are pretty easy. I think that's one thing that makes most players more comfortable there, as opposed to being up top. Up top you can drive right, you can drive left, you can, there's just so many things you can next that. Like in the corner, there's not that many options. So it cuts down your thinking process, but also, it's hard to get corner threes, man, in this league, for that reason. That's why most teams and players shoot better in the corners. But it's a tough spot to get to, and get a ton of them.
Through the process of development, how frustrating was that third quarter? The sloppiness, 7 turnovers.
Yeah, it's been our Achilles. It's been our Achilles heel. I think if we go back a couple games, shoot against New Orleans, I think we gave up 31 points off turnovers in games that we are competing in. I think in Chicago we have 19 points, and it's a tough spot for us. And some of it is youth, and some of it is, we're just careless with the ball. And then a night like tonight, it really was them. Like those other couple games, they didn't really pressure us enough to turn us over. Tonight, the pressure was real. You had some real defenders out there that were forcing us into bad situations. And those are those nights where you say, all right, those are teachable moments for all of us that we got to talk about and watch. But, man, that's where experience, you just hope that you learn from it, But, it was mostly them tonight, and it wasn't just us. We were a little careless, but they turned their pressure up at the half, and it made a big difference.
What are you seeing with Scoot these last week or so that he's been back from the injury?
He's been up and down. Struggled in some of the games, That's why I wanted to leave him out there, because the more minutes, the better, Whether it's a great game or not, I just think getting him comfortable, because we've seen throughout the year certain moments where he looked very comfortable, where he got so much better, and then, these peaks and valleys, and then you see some where he's turning it over, he's not really reading the game fast enough. We've seen that in the last week or so. So he's been up and down the last week.
Have you seen to us, he's been pretty steady the whole year, basically, whether he's playing well or not. Have you seen anything change this last little bit of time with the process and kind of how he's reacting to stuff and how he's reacting to games that he has that are good or bad?
Oh no, I haven't, man. I'm telling you, he really impresses me with that, because I've been him before and I wasn't that steady, I was wearing those struggles with day in and day out. He doesn't. You got to have a short memory in this league, and that sounds very cliche, but it's so true. he does. He has that. You know, I think that's been helpful to him.
Is there any chance he's hit a wall though? This is a lot of games.
Absolutely. There's a chance he's hit a wall like everybody else, you know, that's that age that hadn't played this many games. And I know for me, you know, and I'm pretty sure for him too, especially at that position, it's more mental than physical. You know, it's so much to think about every game. Every team plays different. I'm guarding somebody new. They're putting 2 or 3 different people on me. Sometimes they're going under. Sometimes they're trapping. Sometimes, oh man, I got to get DA the ball. Damn, Ant's over there. I got to get. It's so much. It's so much, you know, and you just fried sometimes, you know. So that's the wall that most people talk about for point guards. You know, for other players, you don't have as much, but for point guards, it's tough, man. It's tough.
All right, there you have it. There's Coach Billups after the game, and I think you're right, Chad. The Wall, it's a real thing. It's also a good album that you can listen to front to back.
I used to love the laser light shows up at OMSI on Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Like
Phenomenal.
I told you, they still do them.
Are they still doing those?
They still do them. They're an OMSI staple.
Are you pulling my leg?
I'm not pulling
I'm
your
gonna
leg.
need to call your mom on this one.
I wouldn't joke about that. Hey, what do you say we get out of here and just do this again on Friday?
Sounds like a plan. And then again on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mad dash to the finish line, baby.
Yes, I have hit the wall. All right.